Oh, for August the 11th, meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals is now called to order. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Mrs. Chavis?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Harrelson?
Yes.
Mr. Salyer?
Yeah?
Mrs. Basler absent, and Mr. Fallenberger absent.
Okay, thank you. Well, next order of business really is the election of the officers for the coming year. Mrs. Basler was the chairperson of the board, and she has chosen not to run again as president. So we will need to, for the president and the vice president of the Board of Zoning Appeals. And do I have any nominations for the president?
I'll make a nomination of Larry Seiler for president. Second.
All in favor?
Have to roll call.
Please.
You have to roll.
Okay.
Call the roll.
Uh-huh.
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Mrs. Chavis?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Harrelson?
Yes.
Mr. Salyer?
Yes. And for the nomination for the vice president of the Board of Zoning Appeals, do we have any nominations?
I'll nominate Kent Frauenberger.
Frauenberger?
Frauenberger.
I second it.
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Mrs. Chavis?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Harrelson?
Yes.
And Mr. Salyer?
Yes.
That's what Keaton gets for not showing up.
Thank you. So has everyone read the minutes of the previous meeting, which was on October 14th? Are there any corrections to the minutes or comments to the minutes?
Would they be approved? Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? The minutes are approved as submitted. Today, we only have one case before us, and it's for a garage addition. And I would like to explain the workings of the Board of Zoning Appeals. It is a quasi-judicial board. The Board of Zoning Appeals has a standard of variance that has to be followed in deciding to approve or to disapprove a requested variance. To approve a variance request, an affirmative finding as to each of the following criteria is necessary. The requested variance is justified by a practical difficulty. The practical difficulty asserted by the applicant is not similarly existing on nearby properties or commonly occurring within the city. The practical difficulty is not created by the acts or omissions of any current legal or equitable owner or by the unlawful acts of any prior owner. Approval of the requested variance will not materially damage the public health, safety, morals, convenience, comfort, prosperity, or general welfare, and adjoining properties will not suffer a substantial detriment if the variance is granted. The requested variance would not create any material advantage which practical difficulties do not enjoy. The essential character of the neighborhood will not be substantially altered if the variance is granted. Granting the variance will not sufficiently jeopardize the delivery of essential public services, including but not limited to police and fire protection, to the property or to its neighbors. Granting the variance will not violate the intent or spirit of the zoning code. There is no reasonable solution to the practical difficulty other than the variance. The variance requested is the minimum necessary to alleviate the practical difficulty created by the literal language of this zoning code. The applicant has to prove to the Board of Zoning Appeals that the practical difficulty, hardship resulting from the zoning requirement and that the variance is for something that is unique and would not occur elsewhere. Representatives of the city will give their report, followed by a question and answer period when their session will be closed. The applicant and others will then give testimony, followed by a question and answer period and then their session will be closed. After all testimony has been heard, the board will go into a closed session to discuss the testimony and the variance request. All parties will be called back into the chamber after the board has completed their deliberations. All motions before the Board of Zoning Appeals relating to the requested variance are made in the affirmative for approval of the variance. The roll will be called and the individual board members will either vote for or against the requested variance. Today we have 4 members, so we will require 4 affirmative votes for the variance to pass. All decisions of the board are final, and there's no further appeals except through the courts. So everyone or anyone who wants to be giving testimony today, if you will please stand and raise your right hand. Anyone that's wants to talk before the board. Okay. I, please state your name.
I, Shannon Brandon,
swear that the testimony that I'm about to give is the truth as I know it. Before the board today is an appeal.
Mr. Chairman, I think you mentioned there were 4 here. There were 5 of us here.
Oh, 5? Oh, okay. Thank you. So, yeah, we'll have to have 4 out of the 5 today. Thank you. I didn't look down there. The variance before us today is requesting a 29-foot 4-inch variance from section 1143.08 F5 of the City of Zoning Code. It's at 303 West Franklin Street, and it's located in the northwest corner of West Franklin and Short Street, and is a single-use family residence. The property is zoned R5, single-family residential, and is located within the designated historic district of the City of Troy. The OH1 form shows that in approximately 1997, there was an existing shed addition in the location that is being proposed for the garage addition. After reviewing the proposed project, it has been determined that the existing hardship is due to the lot not being the current zoning code's requirement for minimum lot size. The existing code calls for a minimum lot size of 6,000 square feet. The lot itself is 4,792 square feet and is 1,208 square feet short of meeting the minimum requirement. The current rear yard is 11 feet 8 inches and is 18 feet 4 inches short of the required 30-yard. The applicant wishes to construct a garage addition in order to keep the concrete and gravel area behind the house free and clear of the storage items that are in there. So could we have the staff report, please?
Sure, you just read it. I do want to remind everyone that all the meetings now here at the City of Troy are recorded and live streamed, so just keep that in mind. So basically, if we could, let's turn over to our map here, our site plan that we have included in the packet. And the reason for the variance today, like the report stated, is the applicant wishes to build a garage addition onto the home. And as you can see from the site plan, where it says proposed garage, the applicant has basically no rear yard. So in order to construct the garage, they would, and this is a normal size one car garage. They would like to construct that, and they would need to stay they want to stay 8 inches away then from the existing property line. The reason for the addition, 2 things. There's already existing cement where the garage would be constructed, and 2, they want to construct the garage not only to put the car in the garage, but also for outdoor storage items such as bikes and that sort of thing. And it's my understanding that over the weekend, they actually had a scooter stolen from their property because they have no place to store any items. So I have some pictures here I want to show you of where the garage will be constructed. This one is probably the best one, but you can see that the concrete is already existing there.
It would go all the way back.
It would go all the way back to this edge of the house. And then this is basically
To
where they keep
this
their
edge.
items. All the way to the back, which the back is actually their side.
What are these dotted lines on here? Is that concrete?
That's the proposed addition. They want to, if you see the dotted lines coming out here, they want to bring the garage out here some in order to
Storage.
basically tie in the roof with the house to make it look natural, not like there's just this garage on the side.
So it will not be a flat roof.
No, it will be a pitched roof.
Oh, and that 3 foot is,
Exactly. They have to, they're coming out in front of the house, the 3 feet, in order to get the lines correct.
Shannon, I have a question.
Sure.
What about the fire separation issue?
Well, we contacted the fire department and they didn't have an issue with it. But not only that, from the property line over to the existing house is approximately 5 feet. So, the fire department didn't have any issues with it.
So they could get people, firemen back in there if they had to. right?
Yes, exactly.
With this, I would ask you something. Okay. Now, are they going to do here, or are they coming way out here?
No, they're coming out 3 feet. From this line, they're coming out 3 feet.
Coming this
And,
way?
and they'll come from 3 feet out and then over, all the way over to 8 inches away from this raised ledge here. So about right there.
Okay, so they're not going back in there where the gravel is?
Yes, that will also extend back to the gravel.
See, because I see it
There's another picture.
solid concrete,
Well, this
in-
picture shows it a little clearer.
because I went out.
There is, the concrete stops, I'm gonna say about 10 feet away from the back of the house here. And it's gravel there. So the garage is gonna go back to where it's flush with the house right here.
So you're with the gravel, and then it's gonna come up to here.
Yeah, see, it's gonna come right here.
To the end of this one right
Yeah,
here.
right here, look on the site plan.
Yeah, but
The concrete comes to right about here, okay? And then this area in here is gravel. The garage is going to come on back to the back edge of the house here and be flush with the
okay,
house.
flush with this part of the house right here.
No, this part of the house right here. The garage isn't going to, it's only going to stick out from the house 3 feet. Okay, so here's the front, right here. Okay, this wall right here. The garage is going to come out 3 feet from right there.
So is this coming out into the driveway then?
3 feet, yes.
Like this,
Yeah, I mean, it's better for me to see it with the picture.
it'll be coming out into the driveway.
Right, that's which is away from the house.
Exactly.
Okay. See, because I was trying to, when you say flush with the house, I'm thinking with
It's,
this.
well, it
and
is
that
flush
gives you
with the house back
from the
here.
back.
Yes.
From the back end.
That extends 3 feet, or,
It extends
To
3
the
feet
front.
into the front. Which, even extending the 3 feet, it still meets our required setbacks.
It does.
Yes.
because it's the corner.
And the slope of the roof will intersect the existing slope roof.
Yes, I believe so. I have another picture I can show you. Just come on.
So Short Street is their front,
Technically, Franklin Street is their front.
but they're
They have
using.
2 front yards because they're. a
Okay, so
corner
that's the
lot.
front that you referred to as Short Street.
Yes. Zoning definition wise,
Okay.
Franklin is their front. But see, this is what it's gonna look like.
Okay.
Yeah, it might have been nice if you had included that in our packet.
Yeah, because
Sorry.
it wasn't matching up with what I saw when I went out.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Shannon.
Sure. The staff does recommend approval because the practical difficulty is that the they have no rear yard, basically. The house is already encroached into the required rear yard. Also, that the lot does not meet our minimum lot requirements, the way the code is written today. So staff does recommend approval of the variance.
Have you gotten any feedback from any of the neighbors that submitted?
Yes, we did get one citizen. It's their next door neighbor, closest to where the garage would be constructed, Mrs. Denlinger. She and her husband are okay with the garage. They did say that, you know how it's coming out 3 feet in the front. They would like the garage front to actually be brought back some, because on the side of the Denlingers' home, they have 3 windows that are basically into their dining room. And by constructing the garage 3 feet out from the front of the house, it will basically block all 3 windows. They'll look out and
Just see the garage.
there will be the garage. But if they do move it back some, it would only block 2 windows and leave 1 window open to the outside where they could still get some light.
Would that also serve their purposes?
I'm sorry?
Would that also serve their purpose?
I believe so. The reason for the bringing the garage 3 feet out into the driveway is more for aesthetics than anything.
Bringing it out, as you said?
Yes.
Would the neighbors next door be opposed to bringing it out a foot just to improve the appearance?
Would you be opposed to bringing it out just a foot, or were you wanting a flush, or?
I would actually like to see it.
Who, ma'am, have you been sworn in?
Yeah, she has.
Oh, okay. Would you mind in stating your name, please?
Yes, my name is Megan Denlinger.
So I can hear you. Thank you.
My name is Megan Denlinger. We live at 24 South Short. I'm sorry, you're not married yet. As the inspector said, we are very much in support of some sort of a structure for all of their storage. But it is going to essentially turn the south side of our house into an alley. And I'd like to keep the view of, albeit small, we can see the Troy Foundation and the street, and my daughter and I sit in our dining room window daily and watch birds and just people watch. So I don't know if it's feasible or practical for the aesthetic purposes, I would like to see it come back actually 3 or 4 feet, not forward, so that we still have our dining room window and a living room window.
The way that, if the house, their garage will be going towards your property, that wouldn't block anything that way, even if it was flush to the house, do you think? Wouldn't block your view? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's coming out
When
3
it's-
feet, which
when
is
it
blocking, but if
when
it
it
was...
is flush, yes. I actually have pictures of our view from inside, if you need to see that. And I shared this with Jordan. I wanted her to know from our perspective. She's been in our home and seen from inside to outside.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Do you know, Shannon, was this brought up to the applicant, Niels, about, did you discuss that with them? You know, keeping it flush?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Sharon, can I see those pictures again,
Sure.
please?
Did the historical people have anything to say?
Not yet. I have to present, before I can present it to planning commission, everything has to be approved
Approved.
zoning wise. So our first step was having to go through the board of zoning appeals before I can take it through the historic review.
Okay. Is the extended, I assume that little extended part here is their dining room and that?
I'll check it.
You know, here, Shannon, this is a better one right here.
Yeah, and you were saying something about aesthetics? And aesthetics for her house.
No,
But-
aesthetics
That's a
for
better
this
picture.
property,
Right.
303 West Frank.
Yeah, but what about for the neighbor whose, all their windows are being blocked? What does that do to them?
Well, that's
You know,
just
and
what
when
she
the
was.
sun- when the sun-
Exactly.
When the
That's
sun comes in,
That's,
I like to see it, but if it's all blocked,
right, but that's part of the decision.
That will have
That
to
you'll have
make.
to-
yeah, well, that's what I was, I mentioned it because she said aesthetics for one house, but what does it do to
You see
other
that?
houses?
Right.
Well,
I can't solve the way.
So anything you bring beyond, it'll block these two, but it'll keep this, at least they can see out of there.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if they bring out three, they can block all three of them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
But
I would
even-
say going back in that.
But that's something the planning commission will have to worry about,
well,
because it doesn't bother the zoning. So their initial proposal was to bring it out 3 feet.
Yes.
okay.
Let me see it again.
See, Mrs. Denlinger, I'd like to just ask you one question. When you're like sitting in that, I saw the picture, and that's your dining room, correct?
It's, the first room is our living room, the second room is our dining room.
Okay, now if you're sitting in the dining room, that, right now, that's the main window that you can see out where the
And-
the
yes.
street and...
And actually, with the proposed building coming out 3 feet, it will not only cover the dining room, it will now come into the window that is in our living room.
Okay, the living room is first, then the dining room, that
Correct.
picture? And then
Yep.
what's beyond that?
Our kitchen,
Okay, and that's already blocked?
it's
right?
already blocked. So, you know, I'm willing to sacrifice for the better good, but with some compromise if that's possible.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but if it meets the zoning, you know, we really don't have any.
Well, does anybody have any more questions of the staff? Then the next, I would like to hear if there's anybody, maybe is it O'Neill's, that would like to give testimony, if you would, somebody want to come up and, would you state your name, please?
Vicki O'Neill, property owner.
Okay. I guess the one question that I would have, the 3-foot extension, and I'm sure, I mean, that's what you want, but is it an a viable alternative if you don't do that?
Sure, absolutely. I believe, like she said, he just was bringing it out so it was more appealing curbside. But I don't think it's a problem at all to bring it in, especially just 3 or 4 feet. It's not that big of a deal to us. He was just bringing it out for the look.
Okay.
So I don't think.
Not the
I don't see it.
additional storage, I mean, you'd have enough storage?
Yeah, yes.
Like that? Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
I would, you mean you'd be willing to cut off the 3 feet altogether?
Yes, we can pull it back in. I understand, you know, what Megan's talking about as well.
Mrs. O'Neill, and Shannon, if it comes out a foot, is it still gonna block their view?
I don't know if it, yes.
I question that, but that's okay.
Yeah, I guess it'd be kind of hard to say without
Yeah.
seeing it somehow. I don't know. Does anybody have any further questions of? No. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak before the board? If not, what we would like to do at this point is adjourn the meeting. We'll go into executive session to discuss it, and then we'll call everyone back.
Wait 45 seconds and then turn the record off. Otherwise, it cuts it off too soon. So,
The August 11th Board of Zoning Appeals meeting is now reopened, and we have an unusual question we want to, so I would like to introduce Will Faulkner. Would you mind,
Yep.
Will?
Vicki, can you approach the podium? Vicki, you're here on behalf of Tim as
Yes.
applicant. Okay. Earlier during the discussion between all the parties, the board, you indicated that you were open to pulling back the front of that garage by the drawing up to the 3 feet,
Right.
correct? Okay. Would you be willing to amend your application on the record as such so that we could consider that with that amended application?
Yes.
Basically, that you're verbally saying that you want the drawing to reflect that it's 3 feet back towards at the flush with the house.
Yes.
Okay, so you confirm on the record that you are amending your
Yes.
application? Okay.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Then what we would do right now, one more time, we would close it and then ask everybody, then we'll come back for the vote. Okay? Thank you. Okay. The hearing for the variance as requested is reopened, and I would like to read the findings of the facts. And keep in mind that it's going to be read in the affirmative so that people can either vote it up or vote it down. I move that the amended requested variance of section 1143.08 F5 of the City of Troy zoning code be approved due to the result of a practical difficulty of the lot being less than the minimum required lot, and that the variance does meet the standards for a variance as required by section 1137.08E of the zoning code. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Roll call.
Roll call.
Mr. Burns,
Yes.
Mrs. Shavis,
Yes.
Mr. Forrest,
Yes.
Mr. Harrelson,
Yes.
Mr. Salyer.
Yes. So the variance has been approved as amended. Is there anything else before the board, any old business? That closes that session as far as the variance goes. Do we have anything else? Then we'll close. Tim, do you have something?
I've got new business, so we're done with the old business.
Okay. No. Any new business?
Just want to pass out some information. It's the building doctor who's coming to Troy. One, you know about this, but everybody else may not.
Oh, yeah, saw that. That was interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially what this is, it's a partnership with Troy Community Works, Troy Main Street, and
Saw the paper. It was really
District Connection.
kind of neat.
And essentially, it's a clinic called the Building Doctors. They come in from the State Historic Preservation Office, and they'll go through and visit older buildings, and they'll give recommendations on how to fix common problems, things of that nature for our historic district. They're actually doing a free seminar tomorrow evening at Hainer Culture Center at 7 p.m. I'm sorry, Thursday evening at Hainer Culture Center at 7 p.m. in the East Room. And what they're going to talk about is guidelines for renovation and ways to identify and solve common problems in older buildings. And I think they go back to 1800 to 1990 to 1955. So that's kind of the time frame they focus on. And just for your information, on Friday, we're actually taking them around to several buildings throughout the community. And I think they'll go a little bit outside Troy as well, a couple miles outside. So it's kind of a neat thing, and we definitely encourage anybody who's interested in that to attend.
Is that part of the that city competition Troy's in with the other?
No, it has nothing to do with America's Best Communities.
Okay. And do they discuss possible financing, how to do financing? And stuff?
I believe they will. I'm not exactly sure on that. I'm assuming they'll hit that topic. I know there's tax credits and things of the nature of the state. I'm sure they'll hit up information or pass on information on that as well.
Okay. Thanks, Tim.
Yep.
Is there any other new business? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.